Hey friend, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here listening to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. Here we talk all about the ins and outs of designing knit and crochet patterns and running a business that makes it all possible. I'm Jessica, your host, knitting pattern designer, design mentor, and the friend in your ear. Can't wait to dive right in. The Pattern Design Circle podcast is sponsored by the Pattern Design Circle, a membership community for knit and crochet pattern designers that are feeling lost, lonely, or frustrated in their business. It connects you with a supportive community that's always eager to answer your questions and help you through the hard times. And there's loads of resources and activities specifically catered to business and designing. Sound like your jam? Check it out at snickerdoodleknits.com/design-circle. That's snickerdoodle, like the cookie, knits, knits.com/design-circle. All right, let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. As always, I'm excited to be here in your ear chatting, and this week is something a bit different. We are going to be talking about some questions that folks submitted. So when I had that survey for, you could win a coaching call, all that kind of stuff. In the survey, which I just had up here, in that survey, one of the questions that I asked was, what would you like to hear more about on the podcast? And a lot of them were very kind of like specific, like how to do this kind of thing. And like, early business stuff like that. So that's stuff that I don't really talk so much about in my business. I have the resources available for the folks who need it. I tend to think of my business serving designers a little bit farther along in the journey. Designers who have been doing it and maybe are feeling lonely, are struggling. And I focus more on, all right, what are the things that can really keep us moving forward? What are the things where are we losing our joy? Preventing burnout, maintaining creativity, maintaining passion, and then like habits and productivity and sustainability in our business, alignment, and all of those kinds of things that are a little bit maybe topics a little bit farther along. So yes, I do have podcast episodes for beginner designers, absolutely, and lots of content inside of Pattern Design Circle for beginner designers, because I do want to have those resources available for folks if they don't have the background already. But that's just not 100% what I focus on. And some of this is like legal, taxes, accounting, which sure I can share, but I'm not a licensed professional. I can't give legal advice. I don't have a degree, a law degree, and I don't have an accounting degree. But I have had guests inside Pattern Design Circle that talk about that. So things like that. Anyway, so all of that to say is I am kind of combining my answers for now to all of the questions in this episode. A little bit more, I guess, of a rapid fire style, especially since some of these questions could probably be a whole podcast, on its own, like as in like a whole podcast. Like Pattern Design Circle could be all about the legal stuff. Pattern Design Circle podcast could be all about starting a business. So, it's stuff that I couldn't even fit into one episode, or, a lot of it you couldn't even fit into 4 episodes to do like a series. So these are the kind of the rapid fire quick responses to get you started. And then I'll kind of share other places to go. It's not to say that I won't ever talk about this in the future, but I did want to get some responses out there, especially since, the podcast is, it's pretty well scheduled out through October because I'm going on maternity leave soon. So Yeah, I won't be recording episodes on this content before maternity leave for sure. So, alrighty. Um, our first question here is, uh, well, they said how to pick a name and what are the legal things to do to start a business. So, how to pick a name? That is a great question, and um, it can feel like a really big uh overwhelming task because it's something that's going to be assigned to your business for a while, right? And I don't think you really want to be changing your business name frequently. You can, but it creates some brand identity issues, and like people then can't find you on social media and things like that. But uh, I guess first of all, know that it's maybe not as big of a deal as you feel like it is in your head. Um, you want to like the name, but it doesn't have to be like some crazy unique name that's ultra special, unless that's what your branding really requires. So first of all, uh, base it off of I personally, this is what I did with mine, with Snickerdoodle Knits, base it off of your brand vibe. What is the brand vibe that you want people to feel? What do you want people to feel when they hear your business name? And base it off of that. Pattern Design Circle, of course, is like I had named the membership first, and then I just named this kind of arm of my business, Pattern Design Circle. Spoiler, it probably will be changing, because I'll be changing a few things up, but likely after maternity leave. But anyway, so that one was just, I mean, it really is, it's literally what I do, right? What this is about. It's about community for pattern designers. It's really kind of the circle of resources and information and support and encouragement, all of that kind of stuff. So you could keep it very practical like that. Um, and then I recommend keep it flexible. Like I personally wouldn't say like bulky cable knit designs or something like that. Because then you might feel cornered into only having bulky weight patterns, only cable designs, that kind of stuff. I even, for my own business, I started Snickerdoodle Knits as an Etsy shop, and then it became pattern designing. So I personally wouldn't even corner myself into uh, like knit design. Like say you want to add tech editing to it, or say you want to add yarn dyeing to it, or something like that. Um, if you think there's a high possibility that you'll end up going into knitting, even though you're a crochet designer, I might steer away from using crochet, that kind of thing. You don't have to leave it, like super broad and open, but you can. That's up to you. But yeah, uh, I say don't box yourself in too much. And then a big thing that I know influenced my brand names was what is already taken on the internet. Check trademark kind of stuff. What's been trademarked. Don't choose something that's super similar that might get you in legal trouble. Um, Check what's available on Instagram, on Etsy, on Pinterest, on TikTok, whatever, Facebook, all of the social media. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I keep yawning. That seems to happen a lot in third trimester. Anyway, um, yeah, so check what's available. I did not want to have different names in all the different places. I did end up, even though I did my homework, I did end up with Snickerdoodle Knits Co. on Etsy, Snickerdoodle Knits Co. on Facebook, and that's because there was a dormant account on Etsy that when I searched, it didn't pop up. But then when I tried to create Snickerdoodle Knits Etsy shop, it already existed. So then it's a matter of choosing, like, all right, what's more important to me? Do I want to now change the name again, or do I just accept something a little bit different? But yeah, and even like uh being mindful of similar names on Instagram, especially if they're doing something similar to you. I know it's like petite knits and what's the other petite something? Like I do not know which are the two uh companies. Like they both design knitting patterns, and never remember who is who or which is which. I'm not loyal brand followers of either of them, obviously. But that's just an example. And then also like your email provider, like if you want to get a Gmail account, um, check check what emails are available that way too. So uh, snickerdoodlenets@gmail.com was already taken. So I needed to, or I chose to, um, just from the get-go have a domain specific email. So jessica@snickerdoodlenets.com. Um, and then also websites. Check is your business name .com .net .eu whatever is that available? Is that a domain that you're going to be able to purchase? And then choose something that you like, that you love, something that you're not likely to outgrow in a year, something that's going to feel relevant for a long time, something that you're not going to hate when people call you that, because when you're known by your Instagram name and then people see you in person, they call you your business name, right? So yeah. But FYI, there is a whole module on a whole lesson on how to pick your business name inside of the marketing course. So it's in the branding your business section of the marketing course, which is also its own mini course, branding your business. And so if you're like, when I said align it with your brand vibe, and you're like, what is my brand vibe? What is my branding? I don't know any of that. Check out that uh, mini course or the whole marketing course in general. And that should be super valuable to you. Uh, okay. The next question, part of that question was, what are the legal things to do to start a business? So technically, as soon as you have made money, as soon as somebody has paid you in return for a service or a product, you have a business. Now, as far as like the legal part of things, um, like on taxes and stuff here. So anything legal related, first of all, I am not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not qualified to give legal advice. Um, Take this with a grain of salt. Do your own research. Talk to an attorney. All of those kinds of things. Um, and same with the accounting stuff. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a registered accountant. I'm not a certified accountant. I have not taken any accounting classes since high school. um, so none of this advice is legal advice. Speak to somebody who is certified uh, with your actual questions. Um, all right. So that being said, so for taxes here in the U.S., which pretty much everything that I'm familiar with legal wise is as somebody located in the United States. Um, so if you have taxes that you have reported income loss for a certain number of years, then they will consider you a hobby rather than a business, or like a hobby business rather than maybe a quote unquote real business. Like you need to be making money in their eyes. But you are a business as soon as you start making money. Um, and you need to track your business, especially income, but also expenses. both for your own purpose and for the sake of taxes, from the very beginning. Uh, as far as the legal things to do, it's going to depend on where you live. If you live in the United States, you can sign up for an EIN, which is an employer identification number. And I'm almost certain that was free. Just Google it. You can find it. You just sign it up. Then you have your business ID number. We're in the States. And you will use that basically like a social security number for your business. So there's a lot of things that will ask for your EIN number. If you are a operating as a solo, what is it called? Now I've lost the term. Not an LLC, not sole proprietorship. Um, that means that basically your all the legal stuff is combined for yourself as a person and yourself and your business. And so then you can use your social security number for a lot of things there. Um, Having the EIN is super easy. It's also keeps you from having to share your social security number on as many things. Makes you feel a little bit more legit. All that. I didn't actually know about EIN numbers, I don't think, till a couple years into my business. So it's not like you're going to be in legal trouble if you have a business and you don't have an EIN number. There are a lot of things though with like if you're paying a subcontractor or something like that, if you need to be filing certain kinds of tax documents, you're going to need to have your EIN number. And I believe in order to set up the LLC or a corporation, you need to have the EIN number. And then the most important thing, like legally, that the government's going to care about is that you do file your taxes. You will file them if you have a sole proprietorship. Those are two words. I was trying to make it one word before. Um, or an LLC, a limited liability company. You will still just do taxes together. Your business taxes will be filed with your personal taxes. Um, I don't know all the specifics of a corporation. So sole proprietorship, essentially, you claim all the liability of your company. A limited liability company, it separates your business as an identity from you. So, if you have a limited liability company and somebody sues your business, as long as you are actually doing all the right things to treat it as a business, they cannot, sue for your house, your car, uh, anything else that you might own, your savings, any of that kind of stuff. What they can sue for is your business. And if your business goes bankrupt, it's just your business. It doesn't affect your personal situation. That's also applies to S Corp and C Corp corporations, but those are like an even higher tier. So you don't have to set up an LLC right away. Look into your state, how much it costs to file the LLC. It is possible to file your LLC in a different state with a lower cost, but that's a decision for you to make. And then, yeah, so once you have your LLC, that protects you. If I feel like at the very beginning, like it's not that important to have the LLC. This is my personal opinion, because like, are people who are buying $5 patterns, $10 patterns likely to sue you for if they're upset about your pattern? Probably not, from my perspective. But if you have larger programs you're working on, maybe larger collaborations, places where you're earning more money, and you just want to have that security, I highly recommend it. Some states it's super cheap to file. Some states are more expensive. For me, I wanted to wait to a certain point where I felt like financially it was a good decision because it's not the cheapest here. It's definitely not the most expensive. California tends to be the most expensive for basically everything when it comes to business legal stuff. Um, so yeah. And then a corporation, it removes you so that you are um like you'll be paying yourself in a different way and than your employees. And then with maybe it's the C Corp. I'm not sure if the S Corp is the same way. One of the corporate, if you want to like be able to go public and like have people have stock and stuff in your business, you need to have a corporation. And I don't remember the specifics on that. It's been a while since I learned all of that. Um, for the most part, the people who are listening to those podcasts will probably not really be looking at corporations, at least for the time being. And there is a certain point when, like income wise, uh, it could be beneficial to have a corporation over a uh, LLC. But that's over the six-figure mark, the last that I knew. So um, most of us aren't concerned about that for a while. um, if you are concerned about it, of course, do your research, all the things. Um, Also, I mean, like, if you're a member inside Pattern Design Circle, if you choose to become a member inside Pattern Design Circle, we've had several different conversations about taxes and LLCs and setting it all up and answering each other's questions and sales tax and all of those kinds of things. Plus, we've had guest speakers that talk about it who are qualified to actually talk about this kind of thing. How to actually set up a business legally um, in a way that, it's correct. And having the account, as far as accounting, all of that kind of stuff. So we've had an attorney, we've had an accountant. They can actually, they, when they do share inside of a group setting like that, they can't say that it's like, specific legal advice for your business, but you do know that know what they're talking about, right? So, that is inside of Pattern Design Circle again. So you can, again, set up your LLC if you want to. If you're going for a corporation, you can do that. And then super, super, super important. Once you do that, you're trying to protect yourself as a person, right? Your assets, all of those things. It's extremely important that you keep your money separate for your personal account and your business account, for your personal expenses and your business expenses, for any income coming into your business. Super, super, super important that that is kept separate because if you end up in a court case and they're like, this is just a whole mess where you've been paying personal expenses with your business stuff and you haven't kept those separate. And so they can't be, so then like somebody could actually then gain access to, I mean, sue you and receive some of your assets. I highly, 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 highly recommend from the very beginning of your business, even if you're not an LLC, keep everything separate. It's going to be much better that way. You can just set up a free account, banking account to start that. But yeah, and then you can also buy business insurance if you want, as another safety net. Alrighty, so I hope that's a quick overview of what to do legally. Technically, you don't have to do anything except for pay taxes, but there's a lot of things that you can do to make yourself maybe more quote unquote legit, or make it easier for you, or provide safety nets, that kind of thing. Alrighty, now the next question Somebody said, I'm currently feeling a little aimless. My business needs improvement, but I'm not sure what to focus on first. So, some help figuring out that focus would be awesome. That's great. That's wonderful. Honestly, this is exactly what coaching calls are for. Um, Without knowing your business, I can't really go into a deep dive to answer that for you on a podcast episode. So the the link to book a coaching call is always on the bottom of the podcast descriptions. Um, and yes, I love to do a deep dive in your business. I love to sort these things out because a lot of it usually isn't as obvious as saying, all right, this is what my business is. This is, you know, this is what I'm trying to decide between. Because as you know, I am so passionate about it being something that you really love, something that you're passionate about, something that is going to be sustainable for you, something that feels good. I want you to be moving forward on things that you really love and that aren't going to just burn you out. And so that's why it's really important to have that personal conversation where it can be like, all right, how does this feel for you? To have you share about it, and then I can be like, all right, this is what I'm picking up on. This is what it sounds like is going to be super valuable. This is what is really lighting you up as you talk about it, that kind of thing. So the personal coaching calls, one-on-one, or if you're inside the Pattern Design Circle or you join as a member of the Pattern Design Circle, we have the group coaching calls, and more than happy to dive into that. Do you know I am going on maternity leave in next month in July? So, uh, if you want to dive in on this and talk about, all right, what should we actually be focusing on specifically in your business? Highly recommend you book that coaching call this month. Um, but just in general, um, I mean, go back to your why. I know I talk about it all the time. Um, Look at all the what are the things that you're working on, what is working, what is not working, what is actually going to move you forward on your purpose, on your why, on your mission, um, and all of those things are in the marketing course. If you're like, I'm not sure what my why is, I'm not sure what my mission is, all that kind of stuff is in there too. But um, yeah, really just focusing on like pay attention to what really lights me up, what is my goal, what is going to get me towards that goal. Um, and then what are the strategies? What's a strategy that I would actually love, that I would like to follow through with? And then of course, some of the podcast episodes, inside the membership, we've got so much on the strategy aspect of, all right, here are our options. And then we get to choose what works best for us. But without knowing really anything about your business, without knowing even you know, what you've been working on, what your goals are, I can't really say like, all right, focus on marketing, like focus on uh, building your portfolio, focus on, I can't say that here. I don't know what the sticky points are. I don't know what you've spent time on. I don't know what's been built up and what hasn't been. Um, alrighty. Uh, Alrighty. So then we had a question around, I'd love to hear something around income. Making money from patterns is hard, and I'd love to hear what other income sources people use and how they've made that work. Um, yes, there are so many sources of revenue that we can have. I believe we've talked about some of them here on the podcast. I know I did an affiliate marketing one recently, back in March, maybe. Um, but uh, yeah, so I just like wrote down a really quick list of everything that came to mind. Top of mind, this is by no means a full and complete list, but we have affiliate marketing. We have subscriptions like Patreon or Ko-Fi, where people are really kind of investing in you or something that you're creating on a regular basis. Um, and so then that's like a membership, subscription based. You can teach classes. You can blog and make money from the ad revenue. You can do YouTube and make money from that ad revenue. Uh, you could have a membership community. You could teach at a yarn shop and you also integrate your patterns there. You could add yarn dyeing. You could sell other people's yarn. You could sell notions and project bags, whether those are things that you create or somebody else creates. Um, you could add other art forms like pottery or painting or um, punch needle work or any of that kind of stuff. Even within knitting or crochet, you could sell the actual products. You could sell the samples from your designs, um, all those kinds of things. Like there's so many options. Those are just like that's just the tip of the iceberg. And absolutely, there are people in all of those things that are making money and doing well. You can look out. I mean, like just in our industry, you can look at examples for all of those. So yeah, uh, Patreon, go on to Patreon and search knit designer and see some of the folks who are making money using Patreon. Um, like the person that comes to mind is Julie of Twin Stitches Designs. So she does a lot of sock designing, and she might actually be I think she's the one that was in Pattern Design Circle. So she talked to us all about creating her Patreon and what that's looked like, and like making money from it and all of that kind of stuff. We have an episode with her or a guest speaker replay with her inside Pattern Design Circle. Um, but she's also an example of somebody who's added selling yarn and things like that to her shop. Um, Laura of Camp Fiber Yarns, she has added like notions and project bags and things like that to her yarn shop. Um, just there's so many examples. Teaching, I feel like we see tons and tons of designers who are doing well teaching, whether they are teaching their own classes online or they're teaching at like big festivals and events. I mean, think of like Patty Lyons, Hohi Locatelli, Andrea Mowry, Caitlin Hunter. I feel like she hasn't done as much teaching, but those are all folks who have added teaching classes to their lineup of streams of revenue. Yeah, let's see here. Just trying to think of other examples, but yeah. So I mean that's an example. That's a list of examples of what other income sources people are using, and ideas that you could use in your business, but really pay attention to what you would enjoy, what feels in alignment with you and your brand, what your audience is going to resonate with. And yeah, I mean there's resources inside Pattern Design Circle also that are like, like how to decide if you want to add a revenue stream and what to add and being intentional about that addition and things like that. Actually just shared them this month in the overview for the month because it's summer and this is a time when people might be looking more so at other revenue streams for supplemental income during the summertime. So yeah, again, there's guest replays on several of these things where we've had the guests. So we had Lauren from A Bee in the Bonnet who talked about blogging. We had Kat from Elephant Cat, I think it was, who talked about teaching classes. We had Julie from Twin Stitches Design, or Julianne Knitter on Instagram, talk about Patreon subscriptions. Yeah, so inside Pattern Design Circle. Sorry, I called it the resource hub for a reason. There are so many pieces of educational content there from I think it's been like 50 guests now. Alrighty. So then the fourth and final person who submitted here was uh, mindset and systems. Particularly establishing these when first starting out, money and legal aspects of starting out, taxes, etc., establishing a brand identity and processes. So some of this I feel like is a little vague. I'm not quite sure exactly what you were getting at. Um, if you have responses to any of this, of course, feel free to shoot me a message. If you're like, you did not answer my question at all, or this is what I really meant, or I wasn't sure what you meant about this thing, or whatever. You can send it to my email. You can send it through the fan mail link in the bottom of the description here. But yeah, so mindset when you're starting out, uh, like it's not something I would say you can just establish it. Mindset is one of those things that you work on and then you work on it again and you work on it again and you work on it again and again and again and again. And it's like, it's just no like kind of notorious in the business world that as soon as you level up, as soon as you decide to add something new or whatever, like it's like so many of the same mindset things come back and you're like, I thought I already took care of this. I thought I already addressed it. Um, yeah. So, and I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, like mindset in general, because are we talking about growth mindset? Are we talking about positive mindset? Are we talking about money mindset? Are we talking about resilient mindset? There's so many different mindsets that we can think about too. I know we had a guest discussion with Tierney Morgan inside a Pattern Design Circle, all about money mindset. I feel like it was really, really good. So if that's specifically what you're meaning, that's inside Pattern Design Circle. But yeah, I don't, I guess maybe first of all, for mindset, set out the expectation that your mindset won't just be established from the beginning. It's not something that you can just like check off a to-do list. Mindset's taken care of. Don't have to worry about that again. And then establishing systems when you're first starting out. Really depends on what your needs are. What is your business actually doing? What all aspects do you have to your business? Are you doing one-on-one client work? Are you doing courses? Are you teaching courses? Are you like, how are you actually serving your people? Um, that totally impacts what kind of systems will be valuable to you. You don't have to invest in all the things at the beginning. I know it's really easy to want to have everything picture perfect and like amazing and pay for all the products from the beginning. I personally would keep it a little bit more minimal on at the beginning, kind of learning the ropes, really deciding like there's so much that we learn when we once we start to get our feet wet, once we start doing the work. And so uh, it's very possible that like when you first start out, you're like, oh, okay, I want this program, this program, this program, this program, this program. They're all going to do everything perfectly for me. And then you get a month in and you're like, actually, I really don't want this part to be part of my business. And now you've invested all this money or you've chosen a system that only halfway does what you want or, all that kind of thing. So, yeah. As far as systems, there's systems for everything. So you could have a system like you could pay for a program that's like tracking your finances, like Zero, Xero, I believe is what it is, or QuickBooks. Um, could have systems that are tracking your traffic and your leads, and you can use Google Analytics for that. I think they still call it Google Analytics with the new update. Is it Google Universal Analytics? I don't remember. Um, your website can do some of that. Your email service provider can do some of that. As far as an email service provider, um, most people want to start out with a free program. So I started out with MailChimp. ConvertKit is a really like robust program that allows you to use it for free up to a certain number of subscribers. I now use Flowdesk. That's a whole nother thing where inside Pattern Design Circle, we've had lots of conversations about what people prefer, and I have a whole, like within the resource list, recommendations for different email service providers and who when each one's helpful, or pros and cons and things like that. Miller Lite's another one that people use. If you have a course or a membership, there might be systems that you want to use for onboarding, or offboarding, or collecting payments. If you're doing one-on-one calls, your scheduler, and if you want that to automatically send emails out, reminders, I use TidyCal. I guess I'll go ahead and put links to all this stuff. I'll try to remember what all I've said here. But I use TidyCal. It's a lifetime, pay $29, have lifetime access. A lot of people use things like Acuity or Calendly, things like that are subscription based. Scheduling for social media. You can pay for something. There's Planoly, there's Later, there's so many different options. And a lot of them have a free version, and then you can upgrade, or you can schedule native in the social media apps, or you can use Meta, or Meta Business Suite allows you to post to Facebook and Instagram. There's Tailwind for Pinterest. Yeah. Places to schedule emails, email analytics, email signups. That will be the email service providers that I was just talking about. And then like establishing your SOPs from the beginning, I think will be really helpful. So that's systems and operating procedures. And so rather than like establishing like, all right, I want to invest in all of these programs, it might be more like, or what I did, maybe if you're like my personality, where you don't want to invest a whole lot of money from the get-go when you're just getting started. You can go ahead and just write yourself a checklist for each of these things that you're doing. And that's, essentially becomes like your SOPs, your systems and operation procedures. And it means that somebody else can follow it, but it also often can mean that it can help make the process faster for you. So maybe it's like what you follow for a pattern release, or it could be the whole pattern, from start to finish. What are all the pieces that need to happen in here? What are the steps to doing your SEO research? What are like all those kinds of things? Just writing out the checklist can be helpful in saving you time. So that the next time you need to do it, it's like, all right, I know that I got everything. I don't have to worry about that I forgot something, or I'm not just like scratching my head, like, what do I do next? It's just there ready for you. So I feel like that probably didn't actually answer your question. But reach out, I guess. If you are able to get a little bit more specific with that, what you meant. You can send an email, you can book a coaching call, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so then the money and legal aspects of starting out. So I think I pretty well covered that in the other person's, about legal things to start up a business, money, set up a banking account. If you can get an account where you can keep your money divided, that's really cool, because then you can say, all right, this is my part of my account that is for this part of my business where maybe, what I'm willing to invest in tech editing. This part is what I'm willing to invest in marketing ads, that kind of stuff. You can keep your money split up. You can also then have your money split up to what you're paying yourself so that when you have money come in, you divide it between those different segments, to keep it divided so that it's not just all one big clump. You have an idea of where your money is going, what it's being saved for, that kind of thing. Not sure. I think that's the main thing with money. Track your money. I still just use spreadsheets, and I have income, expenses, and I have it all divided into categories for the sake of taxes. Um, but yeah, you can use uh, Xero, you can use QuickBooks, you can use things like that. With an Etsy shop, I think you have a free 1 year trial of QuickBooks. Yeah. And then the last part of this was, oh, and again, we have the actual, like, not only do we have discussions on this stuff inside Pattern Design Circle membership, but there's also those guest speakers with people who are actually certified and able to talk with more authority on these topics. Those are inside Pattern Design Circle. So we met Tiffany when we talked about contract secure on the podcast, but we've had her inside Pattern Design Circle to talk about trademark and copyright and all that stuff too. So, alrighty. Okay. So the last piece here was establishing a brand identity and processes. Um, Not 100% sure what you mean here. Do you mean like creating the whole branding from the beginning, like choosing your brand vibe, choosing your why, choosing your purpose? Like there'd be a lot of those kind of episodes probably in the past here on the podcast. And then the marketing course, specifically that branding mini course, is going to have a whole ton about that on, you know, like choosing brand colors, choosing brand fonts, choosing brand pillars, all, choosing your brand name, things like that. Or I don't know if you're saying more like, making it obvious in the world. And so if it's that part, it's showing up. It's doing your marketing. It's being present. So it's using the pieces of your brand that you've established, your brand colors, your brand vibe, your brand pillars, and then using that on as you create your website, as you share your Instagram content, as you email your email list, as you write your blogs, as you have your YouTube videos, whatever it is you're doing, it's sticking to the branding that you've created, and sharing that with the world. And then I'm sorry, I really don't know what establishing brand processes is, what you're referring to there. Like, you're talking about like content creation process or yeah. Anyway, so I hope this was helpful. As a really kind of just to try to answer all the questions at once. I apologize if it, you know, like it, like I guess I warned you. We wouldn't be able to go 100% into depth on all of this. But yeah, more resources, check out the other podcast episodes. If you go onto the website, patterndesigncircle.com/podcast, you can search there. So you can search for different topics. And then I'll have all those links in the description, including the link to book coaching call, if you want to dive in deeper, specific to your business. Or there's, of course, the link to the membership. It's, I believe, $47 a month. So for $47, you could have access to all of those things. You could have access to ask me questions, the coaching calls, the guest speakers, the marketing course, all of those kinds of things are all inside there. So, yeah, I hope it was helpful. I feel like that was just like a whole bombardment of stuff, and I wasn't able to answer all the questions, which bothers me. I like to I like to dive deep and actually give you a thorough actual, conclusion to your questions, but without knowing more about your businesses and where you're at. Um, that's not quite possible. So anyway, hope it was helpful, and I will catch you on the next episode. Wow, thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you found it valuable, please share the podcast with a designer friend. And if you have a minute, leave a review. It's so helpful for me and means the world to me. Chat soon.